as many residents are now returning to what's left of their properties in the North Shuswap area, one of the hardest hit regions by BC fires. Many of those who stayed behind are still fuming after what they describe as being forced to live in a police state. Today, we speak with one resident from Celesta, BC, who has insider details about just that.
But how about stop people of power and authority that make decisions on our life, but they go home at 5 o'clock and we're left afterwards, since Friday, obviously, of the 18th, to continue on and take care of ourselves. They get a nice paycheck and a pension. Their lives aren't disrupted by this. And they're making decisions from some other area. They've got no skin in the game where I live. And I'm so sick of hearing these stories from other old timers that have fought fires for 50 years. They had one fire get away, never lost a building, and all we get told here is stand down. And I'm not the only community. I think we should put a group together and get these stories verified and have an inquiry as to why would we not take and value people's lives and their properties and put it in the hands of people that know what to do. Why would we give that power to somebody that doesn't care? BC wildfires didn't care. They went home Friday. They left. They left us here to die.
Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News, and imagine this. Wildfires, and in this case, even an intentionally lit fire by BC authorities, are blazing towards your home, and it's clear that fire crews won't be around to save it. But you're resourceful, so you stay behind to protect your property and the property of others, and while you do, an evacuation order leads to scenarios like this.
So many of our neighbors lost their homes. Fortunately, our home was saved because of all the hard work we did to fireproof and our property. There's hundreds of people that have stayed behind to protect their properties and fight fires. And these are not just your average Joe Q person. These are loggers and contractors, some with years of experience in fighting fires. And these are the true heroes on the North Shuswap. When the fire hit, all the fire personnel left. They didn't come back for 14 hours. And so it was these people that stayed behind and did the necessary work to protect us. And what has happened as a result was that they issued this evacuation order, and it's written in such a way that you are allowed to stay in your home, but they refuse to let anybody drive on the roads. They refuse to let supplies come in, so people are running out of water, running out of food. And to enforce that, they brought in many police, like dozens and dozens of police. They brought in SWAT teams. And when people started driving through the blockades that they set up on the roads, they brought in spike belts. This fellow was headed to his house in a truck with the water, and he got the police chased him. They stopped him, pulled him out of the truck, made him empty the water out of his truck, grabbed his cell phone because he was filming him, and deleted the video that he took. He later was able to retrieve it from his trash bin in the camera, and then impounded his truck, leaving him to walk home. That is how the Canadian government, the BC government, and our regional district is treating the heroes in our community.
Or maybe you didn't fight to save properties, but you live close enough to those who are and have enough resources to help them do it successfully, but instead you experience this.
We need the pumps.
I have friends with trucks that are right here in Scotch Creek that can come pick up this equipment.
Like I got some guys coming down just to pick up the pumps because they need them for the fire. Like otherwise, we're wasting our time with cows. I don't want to be an or nothing. I'm just,
no, I know you're not. You're not. You're not at all. Just how about this? How about you give us a minute to talk, okay, and we'll discuss.
I'll stop them on that side and make sure they turn it off.
And I also just want to know. So if I walk across right now,
you can.
So I'm going to be arrested if I go across that bridge. So who just told me that I can walk? This guy, the guy that was just there, because it is on camera. One of you just said I can walk across. Yeah, I think it was that guy.
You can.
So I'm not literally cannot get over there. Why are we wasting these resources right now on this? This is...
That's just the way it is.
We've now been locked to our houses and have all these supplies and resources sitting here, and we're not able to go anywhere. We have RCMP and conservation everywhere right now. They're monitoring my driveway. They're not letting us deliver food to anybody.
In today's report, I sit down and interview Brenda Jackson, a farm owner from Celesta, BC, who can identify with much of what I just showed you. Brenda also happens to be the neighbor of Steph and Jorn Weeb, a couple I recently interviewed who were livid after they had to fight an intentionally lit backburn fire started by BC authorities. And while the Columbia Shuswap Regional District has announced that the evacuation order for these people have been dropped as of Wednesday, here is Brenda's story about what it was like living under what she calls martial law, despite her and her daughter, much like the Weebs, not receiving adequate notice that their lives were at risk.
We didn't even know about the backburn till we were at the neighbor's house on the Thursday night when they lit it. That's when we knew something was wrong because the neighbor was shaking, and he's a very brave older gentleman. And we went home and seen the smoke plumage, and then we watched it all night long right outside of our window. I can send you pictures of that. And we went and drove down to Steph's house there, and we met a firefighter, and we asked him if everything was fine, and he told us that it's okay, go home and relax, you're fine right now, but keep an eye out. We came home and started packing up. We have livestock, we couldn't get out of here. We thought we'd just trailer them behind our trailer on the way down to the lake. And he happened to call me, another firefighter, and he said, where's the fire? And I said, it's to my right. And he said, hurry up and get out of there before you burn to death. All the things running through your mind was hurry up and get out of here. So the livestock wouldn't cooperate. We left without them to come back and get them. And that's when we started hearing the roar of the fire.
Wow.
So the calm before the storm hit us where there was no smoke, sunlight, no noise. And then it came rushing at us. So the dirt was picking up. The sound was very loud. It was hard to hear with that sound. And as we looked up into another area, we could see fire. So we weren't even sure we could actually get out of our laneway to get on the road. We thought we might have been trapped already. So the fear factor is that we were told it was fine. We didn't understand our neighbor's concern because he said they told them not to light it and they knew the wind was coming back. So that was already something that they've been told. They knew the weather conditions, and yet we were told we're fine. How do you know you're fine when we're not firefighters?
No, exactly. And one of the things that Steph and Jorn point out is that there wasn't adequate notice. There were some signs up at a gas station. Did you receive any type of notice that said get out of here other than that interaction that you had?
Nope, no, not at all. Friday morning, I called the SCRD to find out what the report was because I was going to think, well, that the fire block worked. And she told us to run. And I said, where's your report? She says, we don't have one. And I'm thinking, well, why would you tell me to run? I'll go check it out for myself. You're in an office somewhere. I'll go find out. And that's when we spoke to one of the fire people from Vancouver who told us it was fine.
Wow. Now, tell us a little bit about what happened, because you are some of the people we're getting a lot of emails about people who are basically trapped. I mean, you're saying you're under martial law. Tell us a little bit about how that went down. I believe you had an interaction after the intentional lit fire on August 22nd. So what happened and how has it been for you and your daughter since?
So the fire was on the 17th, Thursday. The 18th is when we left by 6 o'clock. And then we came back on the Monday night because we were hearing rumors from people here that the police were stopping people from coming in. And we thought, no, that can't be possible. So we took the long way around to get here because we wouldn't have gone in the other way. And when we got here that night, we were informed they were putting a fire block break on our property without us being notified. And they knew we were coming back, so they had my phone number. And we get back here to people on the property, freaked us out because everything else is dead and black. We didn't know who they were. We proceeded to go down to the fire hall and get some information. And basically we're told they can do whatever they want, get out of the way, which is fine. And Tuesday morning, we decided to go see Scotch Creek and the bridge. So we crossed the bridge, and there was a police officer in a vehicle. I don't know where he was from, and another man there with a mask on and a turban. Didn't identify themselves. He didn't get off of his car. He was leaning there with dark sunglasses, and he told me that we would be arrested if we proceeded. And I said, why? He said, you crossed the line. And I said, what line? I don't see anything here. And he said, I'm going to pretend you're invisible. He said, you need to leave now.
Wow.
That was number one.
Yeah.
So we're being threatened to be arrested. We can't get any information. And he's told us that the fire is blocking the main highway, and he had to come in here with his, just with his life, he got in here to help us. So then we proceeded back, and we ended up running into another police officer from Kamloops, and we told him the story of this other police officer. And he said, "What are you talking about? The roads are perfectly fine coming here." Okay, fine. Then we were told that we have to go back to our property or we face being arrested again. Then we run into another police officer as we're looking for a generator. And I asked him where he came from. He said, Vernon. And I said, "Are the roads that bad that way?" And he says, "What are you talking about?" Proceeded to tell him. And he said, "The roads are perfectly fine." So we were being told that the roads are unsafe. The hydro lines are down. The power was cut Friday night at 6:00. There is absolutely no danger of being electrocuted. And the lines are on the side of the roads. So I don't see what the problem was. That later that day, I believe, or first thing Wednesday morning, hydro trucks started appearing in to do work. And that afternoon on Wednesday, there had been no auxiliary help at all here till Wednesday afternoon. So we came home Monday night. There was no help at all. Tuesday was dead quiet. And Wednesday, they started showing up in the afternoon.
Well,
which is kind of a long time after Friday.
It is a long time, and your story is similar in to what I'm hearing from other people as well. What happened when you came back to your property and you saw what was done to it?
We were horrified. First of all, we heard a man yelling for help. We didn't know who was on our property. My daughter and I live alone. And then he told us what was going on. We went back to the farm and we said, "What are you guys doing?" They said, "We're putting a firewall in." And we said, "Like, where?" And they said, "Your property." And they then made a cracking joke about, "Now the crackheads are going to be on your property. We'll have to fix this later." And I said, "Well, who's responsible for fixing this?" And they said, "BC Wildfire." When I went back to the fire station, I was told, "That's your problem. Didn't you want to save your property and other people's properties and lives?" Wow. So I was made to feel guilty immediately.
Yeah.
My farm's ruined at the back. It's bulldozed to hell. People have already been back there removing our wood and cutting our trees down, which I find amazing that they could even have time to do that with all the work left around here. It's an undaunting feeling where you're told that you have no power, no choice, and do as I say, or you're causing a problem.
Well, and your property ends up damaged. And, with Steph and Jorn, they're saying, if it wasn't for them defending the property, they wouldn't have a property.
If you look on the map and you find our place, it's the biggest spot left there that didn't burn. Wow. And that was four people with piss tanks on our backs and garden hoses. We didn't have fire trucks. We didn't have any advanced equipment. We just had a big heart and the desire to do it.
What do you make of BC Wildfire Services saying that the intentional blaze was in fact successful, but our hearts go out to the areas that were devastated like yours?
So if it was so good, it's like they told us, well, Scotch Creek and Lee Creek would have been far worse burned. Okay, is that like being a little bit pregnant? Because you're not really pregnant, you can kind of say that. Any fire is a bad fire. But what I don't understand is, why did they all leave? And why wasn't this fire addressed July 12th in Adams Lake? This is the same fire that came our way. When we hear from other people, they were told to stand down. So this is a fire that's engulfed so many areas and allowed to come and engulf our area. Why would we not put those fires out? Why would we resist doing that? And why would the police, on Jim Cooperman's video, he talked about one of the people coming in with their truck and a water tote, and the police wrestled in the ground, arrested him, and took away his water and drained it out in the ground right there. Why would you do that to somebody trying to help? And why were people who are not certified firefighters the ones that were doing all the work? Where was BC Wildfire at this point? They were nowhere to be seen. The other day we had helicopters like crazy. It was every 5 minutes, which is not normal. And I went to the fire hall and I asked, what's going on? He says, BC Wildfire do not have to report to them anything that's going on. And I'm going, but aren't we working together to save people and property and our resources? Maybe not. Still under house arrest. My finances have been ruined because I can't sell my farm stuff because it's damaged, and we have no idea how to survive the winter at this point. But they've damaged our lives, our careers, and everything. I don't know how much the cost is. I haven't had a time to sit down and think about it. But one of the things that's worrying us is there was a shortage of hay. There's no hay available in my area. I know where some is. And I was trying to get a permit to go get it. And I was denied that permit. But now they want me to remove my livestock out of here. And I'm kind of worried about that because once it's out of sight, out of mind, what are they going to tell you? Oops, it disappeared? Like, I wouldn't have any way of even finding it after this. So that is quite a threat to me, is that your livelihood's going to be taken away on top of. But how about stop people of power and authority that make decisions on our life, but they go home at 5 o'clock and we're left afterwards, since Friday, obviously, of the 18th, to continue on and take care of ourselves. They get a nice paycheck and a pension. Their lives aren't disrupted by this. And they're making decisions from some other area. They've got no skin in the game where I live. And I'm so sick of hearing these stories from other old timers that have fought fires for 50 years. They had one fire get away, never lost a building, and all we get told here is stand down. And I'm not the only community. I think we should put a group together and get these stories verified and have an inquiry as to why would we not take and value people's lives and their properties and put it in the hands of people that know what to do. Why would we give that power to somebody that doesn't care? BC wildfires didn't care. They went home Friday. They left. They left us here to die.
It's clear. Brenda Jackson, her daughter, the Weebs, British Columbians, in fact, all Canadians, deserve to know what the heck was really going on here during these fires. I've sent out inquiries to the Minister of Forestry, BC Wildfire Services, even the local volunteer fire department in Celesta, BC, but they either didn't respond or didn't give a response that was very helpful. But that's where you come in. If you go to rebelinvestigates.com, you can help me continue to dig deep to get you answers. If you chip in a few bucks there, it goes towards our investigative journalism that is oh so important for bringing the people the other side of the story. Go to rebelinvestigates.com, and we appreciate your support.